Mike Tomlin isn't getting fired this season. That much is official. But don't mistake the calm for closure. There's a small contract clause and a March 1 deadline that's louder than any midseason firing rumor. That date will decide whether Tomlin keeps the reins comfortably or walks into 2026 with a notice that everything's on borrowed time. And in Pittsburgh, borrowed time feels a lot louder than it should. Think about what Tomlin has built. Nearly 2 decades of steady leadership, a Super Bowl ring, no losing seasons, and a reputation for steadiness in a league that trades coaches like cards. Players respect him. The city respects him. The resume is impressive. But the NFL isn't a Hall of Fame. It's a results business with a short memory. Stability stops being an asset when it stops producing playoff wins. Here's the real lever. The Steelers hold a team option that would extend Tomlin through 2027, and they must decide whether to exercise it by March 1st. Pick it up, and you're signaling confidence and continuity. Decline it, and you've basically built an expiration date into a relationship that was once assumed permanent. That's not a passive choice. It's a strategic one that says much about ownership as it does about coaching. The optics matter. Pittsburgh hasn't won a playoff game since 2016. They started the season looking like a team on the rise, had flashed at 4-1, and then stumbled into a stretch of ugly losses and frustrated fans who booed the team off the field after the Bills game. Even Ben Roethlisberger, the man who shared Tomlin's glory, floated the idea of a clean house. When legends start whispering reset, the front office has to watch and listen. Inside the building, there are 2 competing instincts. One says, keep Tomlin, protect continuity, trust the leader who's earned loyalty and stability. The other says, the NFL has evolved. Offenses move faster, analytics drive decisions, and if the head coach can't adapt, you risk becoming a relic. March 1st is the neutralizer between those instincts. It forces a choice, and choices make stories. If you pick up the option, ownership is buying a bet that Tomlin can modernize, that he can recalibrate offensive philosophy, and that the current core, or the roster moves to come, will respond. That's a statement of faith. If you don't pick it up, you're signaling you want flexibility without drama. You want an easier path to change after 2026 if things don't improve. Neither move is painless. Keeping him and failing is cowardice in the public ledger. Declining and losing a turnaround is a strategic gamble that could blow up if the next coach flops. There's also an unusual wrinkle in Tomlin's favor. He has a no-trade clause in his contract. That's rare for head coaches. It means the team can't just flip him for a draft pick or ship him out to another franchise without his permission. That protects him. It also hands him leverage when the boardroom starts to get itchy. If you're thinking of making a move that looks like a firing dressed in suits, you better be ready to have the conversation with the man you need to walk out the door first. So, what do the next 3 months look like? Expect audits. Expect film room deep dives. The staff and front office will analyze coaching tendencies, in-game decisions, roster construction, cap health, and the quarterback plan. That QB carousel, one of the season's biggest headaches, will get extra attention. The question isn't just whether Tomlin is a good leader, it's whether he's the right leader for the modern offenses the league rewards. The answer will determine whether Pittsburgh doubles down on familiarity or buys a fresh blueprint. And here's the human piece they rarely put on the ticker. Tomlin earned loyalty through years of steadiness. Players follow him because he's been consistent. If the organization chooses to part ways in the short run, the fallout won't be just tactical, it'll be emotional. Fans will grieve a coach they've trusted. Alumni will take sides. The franchise identity, built on a culture of continuity, will be forced to explain to itself why it's choosing change. But loyalty isn't a free pass. Fans don't cheer for process when they're watching games that cost playoff chances. They want results. They want a team that doesn't just show up in December, but wins when it counts. The noise from the stands after the Buffalo loss wasn't about disrespect for a man. It was frustration at the product. That pressure matters. Boards listen to ticket sales and local opinion because losing money and losing trust are the same thing in different suits. If you're a pragmatist, you'll notice the political logic of March 1st. It's not an arbitrary date. It's the perfect time to make a surgical decision. after the season, before free agency, while you still control talent movement. Declining the option doesn't mean an immediate firing. It just gives the franchise more room to make a transition on its timeline with less of the midseason circus. Picking it up makes a loud public statement that the plan stays the plan. Both are defensible, both are risky. So, what will happen? Historically, the Steelers aren't impulsive. They value continuity. That gives Tomlin a practical edge. But winning that option back, or keeping it, won't be automatic in spirit. Tomlin must show the capacity to adapt. Coaching concepts that align with modern offensive trends, clearer quarterback direction, and better late-game management. It's less about legacy and more about evidence that the program can move forward. Here's the honest test. Leadership is only meaningful when it produces outcomes. Camaraderie and reputation are vital, but ultimately the scoreboard writes the final chapter. Tomlin has time and goodwill, a lot of it, but the league doesn't negotiate legacy. It markets performance. On March 1st, the Steelers will choose which of those two languages matters more to them. If you want the short, camera-ready truth to read into the mic, this isn't about a firing today. It's about a crossroads tomorrow. Whoever makes the call on March 1st won't just be deciding on a contract option. They'll be choosing the kind of Steelers franchise Pittsburgh will be watching next season. And in a town that measures its identity in both iron and instinct, that's the kind of choice that echoes for years. So watch the calendar. The loudest thing in Pittsburgh right now isn't the noise from the stadium. It's a small line item that will determine how the next chapter starts. Steelers won't fire Mike Tomlin this season, but will have to make call on team option by March, report. The Pittsburgh Steelers will not fire Mike Tomlin during the 2025 season, but the organization still faces a major decision that could shape the future of the franchise. According to ESPN's Adam Schefter, the team must decide by March 1st whether to pick up the option on Tomlin's contract that would extend him through 2027. Tomlin technically has 2 years left after this season, but declining the option would put him on track to enter 2026 as a lame duck coach. Picking it up would reaffirm stability. Not picking it up would heighten speculation about Tomlin's long-term future, including the possibility of a mutual split. Tomlin owns a 189-113-2 record in 19 seasons, with 2 AFC championships and a Super Bowl title. The Steelers have never had a losing season under him, but they also haven't won a playoff game since 2016 and have struggled to replace Ben Roethlisberger. This season, they sit at 6-6 after starting 4-1. Ben Roethlisberger recently suggested on his podcast that it may be clean house time, though he emphasized that he respects Tomlin and does not believe he should be fired. Instead, he floated the idea of a mutual parting of ways. Despite outside noise,